Good afternoon, everyone. We are having this conference call as a meeting for our upcoming outreach activities. We will specifically lend help to certain issues and sectors of indigenous tribes and people with disabilities. Settle now as we are now about to begin our conference meeting. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the presence of everyone in this conference meeting. We have Ms. Pauline Iriman, Ms. Kylie Diaz, Mr. Joaquin Tacla, Mr. Marcus Ares, Mr. Ryan Del Rosario, and very yours truly, Mr. Cedric Gallosa. As we all know, one of the most unheard sectors in our society today is our indigenous tribes. In year 2018, there were already recorded 40 dialects considered as imminent endangered in the Philippines. The Commission ng Wikang Filipino or KWF may have established different ways and programs to counteract these problems. But I believe and we believe that these are not enough. The language of Kasiguran Agta is among these threatened languages. One of the latent dilemma we have is the continuous vanishing of these ethnic languages and dialects. As future journalists, what do you think are the things we can do to aid these problems in our ethnic dialects and languages? Let's begin with Ms. Iriman.
First, I believe that we must understand that the problem lies in the weak intercultural communication, most especially inside our borders. Let's never forget that intercultural communication should not be limited to variety of race, but even with the same. We must break the barriers between local cultures in order to introduce these dialects in more people.
We must create sustainable ways by which the indigenous tribes, as a part of our national culture, perhaps it will not a dialect by itself.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for my part, I want to put a focus on the literature that we must also preserve alongside with the dialects. Indeed, language is dynamic and continuously changing, but we as cyclists of these languages, it is our job to preserve dialects as all of those are part of our national identity and heritage. The vanishing of local ethnic dialects is the threat of losing integral parts of us as Filipinos.
For my part, I want to provide concrete solutions for intercultural communication. Let us set an example as Thailand. Thailand has still use of their communal language and dialects. It would be ideal if I tell you that Philippines could also do that. Baybayin is also considered as the primitive writing of our ancestors, which has been passed through generation to generation in different parts of the Philippines. Though it is recognized and now people like us Filipinos are now aware of it, we must also incorporate it to modern use, such as songs, raps, poems, and other literature pieces.
I agree with all of your idea. I just also want to add the need to sustainability of these matters. We must learn from the old mistakes we've had before. Should we should we wait until our dialects be used and remembered by few people left in a fading tribe? I bet you all will say no. That's why we need to move on to our next topic.
Being part of the quality education for deaf and mute people. Now, one of the sectors of the society that has given with more attention is the people with disabilities. In this part of the conference, we will set the lenses of our discussion in our deaf and mute brothers and sisters. So, for our fellow delegates, how do you think the improvement of sign languages and its extensive use will be essential to bringing quality education for the deaf and mutes? Let's shall begin with Ms. Pauline Iriman.
This is probably one of the issues that we must really solve these days. Indeed, we must provide voice to those who are voiceless. Circumstances like being deaf and mute should never be seen as a stigma of vulnerability and weakness of a person. I really admired those individuals who thought themselves to be the different sign languages, not just because they prepare themselves whenever there's a need for assistance on deaf and mutes, but because they consider listening to these people a means of all possible reasons one may create. Yes, sign languages is important in bringing quality education to deaf and mutes, but I think it would really first take commitment and desire to help others.
Putting sign languages in our educational system will even enable students to help those deaf and mute people. I really believe that this may be a subject or a chapter of lesson in high school or college. Adding this to our educational system will help those people with disability.
I concur with Ms. Kylie Diaz. For me, putting the sign languages as a part of the educational curriculum will satisfy the following conditions. First, it will increase the job opportunities for our vacant teachers. Second, the deaf and the mute people, especially our fellow students, will be able to exercise their right for the education as per our Article 14, Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution. Number 3, it will pave a way towards a proper orientation in students about people with disabilities that can destroy the stigma, stereotypical remarks, and prejudice. Fourth, the deaf and the mute people will have another proper representation in the Philippine society. These are the effects that I can see coming as a future journalist of this country. That is why I really believe that embarking sign languages as a part of our educational curriculum will pave a way for a better quality education in the Philippine society.
That the best way to teach the masses is to learn their language. And we can only teach these people when we can fully utilize our own. And that we can teach them on how to use it. So what are we waiting for? Let us prove that education is not a privilege, nor it should ever be considered as one.
Where more children are not being sent to schools, we must do something. And in a society where some are often left unheard and unspoken, we must know how to listen and share our voice. And this society will only change if we, people of the society, will come hand in hand to establish these changes.
And this is where the conference ends. Again, I want to thank my fellow delegates and journalists for this fruitful discussion. May this talk has conceived a lot of productive outlook on how we can change the current communication system in terms of their end realm of intercultural communication and paralanguage. Thank you and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.